stick with us all the way through up until now. We were just listening there to the voice of Eric Bosman Asari speaking there on behalf of the EC, and he was on the floor of Parliament some now over 2 weeks ago, indicating that there was not going to be a rerun and that they had their figures together. They simply needed the assistance of the police to complete the collation process. A lot has happened since then, since he spoke on the floor of Parliament. So maybe 10 or 12 days after that statement was made on the floor of Parliament by Bosman Asari, we got indication from the EC by way of a letter indicating that a rerun of some 19 polling centers would be happening come July 11th. That's just this Friday. Well, the NPP has said many a time that they vehemently disagree with this position. In fact, they are alluding to the fact that comments made by the NDC's national chairman may have sparked that reaction from the EC. This was reiterated on the floor of Parliament by the minority leader, Osahin Afenyo Markin. Well, what has transpired then? Fast forward to yesterday. Lawyers for the New Patriotic Party parliamentary candidate for the Ablekuma North constituency, Nana Ekia Owusu-Efriye, have filed an application in the High Court for the Electoral Commission's decision to rerun the election in 19 polling stations to be set aside. You'll recall when we spoke about this sometime last week, we spoke with the NDC's organizer as well as the NPP's organizer. They also had some conflicting thoughts on what the EC is proposing. But by all indications, the NPP say that they have won clearly by some over 400 votes. Well, Gary Nimako Mafo Esquire also prayed the court to prevent the EC from proceeding with the election on July 11th as scheduled. Counsel for and on behalf of the applicant herein will move this honorable court, I'm quoting here, on an application praying for an order. And Sixers will help me with this one, an order of certiorari. Certiorari. Wow.
Prohibition.
That's the word. That's how you spell it.
Yes.
I always hear you lawyers, or shall I say us lawyers, we always say certiorari, and I didn't know this is how you spell it. But for an application praying for an order of certiorari to quash the decision of the respondent contained.
Why do you want to slang the word?
How do you pronounce it? This has become susceptible around my neck. Oh boy. We'll get through it. You and I will get through it. Contained a letter dated 1st July 2025 and a press statement dated 2nd July 2025 under the authorship of the Deputy Chairman Operations to rerun 19 out of the 281 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency come 11th July 2025. And for a further order prohibiting the respondent from proceeding to rerun the parliamentary election in the said 19 polling stations upon grounds contained in the accompanying affidavit, and for such further order or orders as this court may deem fit, he wrote. But fear not, Sixtus is here. He will see us through a lot of this legal language and break it down for us exactly what the NPP is seeking to do. Now, stating the grounds for the application, okay, now this will make it very clear to all of us. Mr. Nimako stated that, and I'm quoting, the respondent committed a grave administrative error when it failed to comply with the ruling orders of the High Court to collate and declare the winner of the parliamentary election in the Ablekuma North constituency in accordance with the case entitled The Republic versus Electoral Commission of Ghana, ex parte Nana Ekia Owusu-Efriye, that's the applicant, Irabana Orbin, and the National Democratic Congress, into brackets, interested parties, and the suit number is also there. You can check out the full details on 3news.com. But he added the respondent acted in excess of jurisdiction when it decided to rerun 19 out of 281 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency in the absence of any court order varying, vacating and or overturning a subsisting High Court judgment dated 4th January 2025.
3FM Sunrise.
And if you're watching us on Facebook, you can also follow along. We have the facts as set out on our Facebook page. What is the grounds for the order? You see it there, as I've just also mentioned to you. That full story is on 3news.com. Out on everything that is happening so far. We do know 6-2 that the New Patriotic Party will be, and I'll choose this word that we like, storming the constituency, Ablekuma North, at around 10 a.m. they say, for a press conference. Throughout this process, they have been very vocal in their position that there is no need for a rerun. However, we do now have that information from the EC that come July 11th, they are seeking to rerun in at least 19 polling stations. Well, herein comes some court action that we're seeing from the NPP. What does that really mean for Friday? What does that really mean for Friday? Sixers, would we be having to wait for the High Court to make a decision to rule on this before the elections take place? Will that be how the court will be seeking to address this issue, or we can't rush the High Court?
Well, I think in one of the recent cases, Supreme Court cases, the court decided that the mere fact that you have served the processes like this does not mean that, or filed the processes like this does not mean that everything else should be put on hold.
Right.
And we know that there should be an actual judicial pronouncement on it.
Okay.
And we also know that the court is usually minded by the agency of the circumstances.
Okay.
The election is on Friday, and so the court definitely will be minded by that. And CJ, in the assignment of the case, would take into consideration that agency of the time. So I honestly don't expect that we won't have a decision before Friday.
Okay.
Yes, but today is what?
Today is Tuesday,
Okay.
the 8th. The elections are slated for Friday, the 11th. So that's why I was asking about the time frame, because potentially what could happen is that the High Court could potentially not make a decision between now and Friday. And does that mean that Friday's elections or slated elections will still hold? And also a question that I've seen pop up on our feed is whether or not what happens if the NPP says we are refraining, and by refraining, do they have the option of filing? Do they have to file? What are the processes that must be undertaken by both parties for Friday to actually go ahead, or do they not have to do anything to activate or trigger, if that makes any sense?
This is an ex-party action. That is to say that the NPP and its candidates, or the candidates of the NPP, went to court without notice to the NDC's candidates and the NDC. When you look at the parties here, it says the Republic versus Electoral Commission of Ghana, ex-party, Nana Ekia Owusu Efriye. So Nana Ekia Owusu Efriye is the one who is going to court.
That's right.
But the issues with which she is going to court affect the Rabina Oben and the NDC. So they are listed here as interested parties. And the ex-party there means that it is without notice. So there are two things that you usually would see. Either you would see that Abiam is going to court and has served a copy of the processes on Helen.
Okay.
So Helen is on notice. So Abiam is going to court on notice or with notice to Helen.
Okay.
The other thing is that Abiam thinks that the matter is so urgent that he cannot wait to go through all the processes, because when you issue a writ, you would have to serve it. The other person has 8 days, and then a further. So you have to enter appearance. That is to say that you have to write to the court indicating that you have received this, you are aware that there's a case pending against you, and you will serve your response very soon. And then you have a further time to do that. So in this particular case, minded by the urgency of it, Abiam has gone straight to court without your knowledge that he is going to court. Now the court will call, come and state your case.
Okay.
And then we'll take it from there. That's why I said that the court is usually minded by the urgency of the situation in cases like this. Because if the election is on Friday,
that's right.
If it is not heard before Friday, then some harm may be caused to the party that is asking for the reliefs we are seeing here. In this case, Nana Ekia also a free. She's the applicant. And there are two things she's asking for. The word you are struggling with, certiorari and prohibition. There are two different reliefs that she's asking for. Now, the certiorari there simply means quash. So she's asking the High Court to quash a decision that the Electoral Commission has made.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, she wants the High Court to stop the Electoral Commission from implementing the decision that it has made.
Okay.
You get it? So in other cases, you would see, what do you call it, an application for injunction. So if Abiam had gone to court notifying you that he is going to court against you.
In fact, let me flex my legal lexicon. Because I've not been put on notice, this will be an ex parte injunction. Yes?
Exactly.
Ah, fantastic.
Clap for you.
Thank you. Okay, that is what is happening now.
So yes, Abiam would have gone to court and served you notice.
Okay.
And based on that notice, you prepare your responses and everything. But then Abiam, as a follow-up, will say that if I don't let the court stop you from acting, by the time you waste all the time and come to court, I would have been affected by that delay.
Right.
And so let me ask the court to place an injunction on an action that you are about to take, so that you don't waste the time and delay me and stop me from enjoying justice,
right,
or fairness.
Right.
So that would have been it if he had come, what do you call it, on notice.
Okay.
But in this case, it is not on notice. So it is on your blind side.
Because time is of the essence.
Because time is of the essence.
Okay.
That's the principle. Time is of the essence. But the relief that he's asking is injunctive in nature. And so because of that, he's not going to be asking the court to give another injunction.
Okay.
So if the court agrees with her, the court is going to do two things. Number one, it will quash the decision of the Electoral Commission to rerun the election in the, how many polling stations?
19.
19 polling stations in the constituency on Friday.
Okay.
It's on Friday. If the court agrees with her, in addition to quashing the decision of the Electoral Commission on rerunning the election on Friday, the court will also direct the Electoral Commission not to rerun the election. Do you get it?
Indeed.
So there are two different things that she's asking for. And this is under the supervisory jurisdiction of the High Court.
Okay.
Every administrative body is subject, the decisions of the body are subject to the review of the High Court or the Supreme Court, as the case may be.
Right.
Okay. So administrative bodies, so SRAJ, Electoral Commission, Which ones are? All the other administrative bodies, you know.
Okay.
So if NCC takes a decision, for instance, against its staff, for instance, and one of the staff members affected by that decision is not happy, then that staff member can go to the High Court and ask the High Court to review the decision that has been taken by the NCCE. The same applies to the Electoral Commission. Electoral Commission has taken a decision because it is an administrative body exercising administrative functions that have been conferred on it, either by the Constitution or by statute. The affected party would then have to go to a court that is higher, or a forum that is higher than the EC, to say that the EC, in exercise of its administrative functions, took 1, 2, 3 decisions which are affecting me adversely. Then I'll explain to the court why I think that those decisions affect me, and ask the court, based on the reasons I have given, to quash. To quash means that, shred it. It doesn't exist anymore.
Destroy
it is taken to mean that the decision was never made.
Okay.
So let us start afresh.
Okay.
You get it? But in this case, the candidate is asking that it is not enough for you to just stop the Electoral Commission from running the election on Friday.
Right.
Or quashing the decision to run the election, but also stop them from running the election.
Okay.
And I'm sure that once we go into the process that has been filed, we will see the reasons that they have given.
Certainly. So now this is with the High Court. We're going to have to watch this space. As I've mentioned as well, the NPP say they will be headed to Ablekuma North to address the constituents. I'm very eager to hear what they have to say. So, Sixtus, can we park legal issues to one side and let's talk a bit of politics, because we cannot talk about this matter without the politics. This is pure politics as well at play. With the other, side commentary and the other happenings surrounding this Ablekuma North possible rerun. Before we started the discussion, you had co-commissioner, or shall I say deputy commissioner, Bosman Asare, on the floor of Parliament. It was a 10-minute audio clip that I played outlining where they were and also reiterating that there would be no rerun. Now, there are reasons being preferred by the minority as to why this U-turn has come about. Take a listen to Afenyo Markin, minority leader, on the floor of Parliament as he seeks to make sense of why the EC decided to U-turn.
Dr. Bosman, sitting in for his boss, told us that all they need is security to enable them finish the 3 polling stations. I ask a question: what has changed? Mr. Speaker, we should be careful as a democracy how we are managing this democracy. Mr. Speaker, today we have a member in this chamber from Domi Kwabenya, because when it was left with some few polling stations, EC relied on tally cards. Aden, Michael Kwe Jr., onu di onye nipa, onye Ghanini. Michael Kwe Jr. protested, but he did not protest with violence. He did not carry his constituent to the EC Collation Center. He expressed his disagreement in a civil way. Today, we have our colleague Akurugu in with us because EC used tally cards to complete the collation process. And when it is clear that the EC was on course to complete this process, we are being told today that there's going to be rerun of some constituencies. It is unfair, it is unjust, Is it the case, and I don't want to believe that that is the case, that the recent public comment by some senior politicians is what is compelling EC perhaps to secure their job? They want to succumb to the whims and caprices of certain extremists or certain hardliners. It is not fair.
3FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
And so, of course, 6-2, this decision by the EC was not greeted well by the New Patriotic Party. Again, they assert that they've won. They have a figure that they mentioned. They say over 400 votes, which for me is also very interesting and very telling. And pardon me, let me open up the conversation a little bit. Last week when we had this conversation with Solomon Owusu and Emmanuel Kutin, and do check it out on YouTube, fantastic conversation, about an hour long on our YouTube page, 3FM 92.7. We were able to holistically look at the issues, the rerun, and also the history of Ablekuma North as a constituency. I was listening to the NPP talk about we won by over 400 votes, and I thought, in the last 28 years, the NPP has had a strong hold on that constituency.
Yes.
So to even now hear, fast forward to 2025, that we won
then
clearly with
you
over
can only boast of 400
votes, very telling as to why, possibly the NPP doesn't want to go back to the polls, because
it is dangerous.
It is dangerous to do so. And when we looked at the trend all throughout the years, and we started our analysis from the year 2000, consistently the NPP had over 50% of the vote, 57. In 2016, they were around 67%. The NDC at that time, as it was across the board, had dipped to something like 30-something percent. I don't even think they've ever reached a 40% throughout that journey. And if we can, we'll put that up on the screen. So again, we won by 400 votes, indicates that it is there is trouble.
But you see, I think it goes beyond, their fight goes beyond the trouble imminent and the concern that they might lose if they go for the rerun.
Okay.
You see, I think one of the points they also raise it has to do with the competence of the Electoral Commission as a structure and a system in our electoral politics. Because if you look at all the processes leading up to this point, the Electoral Commission had always maintained that this would not be an option, as in rerunning the poll in the constituency would not be an option.
Right.
So if we take a sharp U-turn and come back to that position, then it places a question mark on the efficiency of the system that is operated by the structure. You get it? And so I think that is one of the concerns that they want to highlight. Okay. But again, at what point did we realize that, as a human institution, the EC could have its own challenges?
You mean specifically as far as the NPP is concerned? Because consistently, they sought to, if not defend, I don't know whether that's the right word, but at least assert that the EC
defend is the right word.
They said the EC knew what they were about all throughout the different issues that we as Ghanaians were attempting to highlight. The NDC brought some issues to bear, but all throughout, the NPP at that time, when in power, said that the EC was doing what it had to do. We had to back off. They knew what they were doing. They were fit for purpose, and things were going well.
Exactly my point. So if we made this argument in the past, and this is not distant past, this is very recent past, less than a year, we have suddenly changed position to say that we don't trust the system that we have always defended, or that we should, as it were, do an overhaul or a forensic audit of the system that we have always defended. Then it also raises more questions about even your own assessment of the process.
Okay.
So if you look at, the account of the candidates as narrated in the court process, what is called the affidavit, there's a paragraph that he referenced the Bosman Asari statement. You see, it says that as recent as the thing has vanished. As recent as 19th June 2025, the Deputy Chairman Corporate Affairs, Dr. Bosman Eric Asare, of the respondent, when he appeared before Parliament to answer questions, also confirmed to the House that the 3 outstanding polling station results and that the respondent was only waiting for the security agency to provide them with security to enable them conclude the collation process and declaration of the winner in the election. And they have attached and marked an exhibit of the video, what you have just played. They have it in evidence. So based on all of this, they want the court to declare that the decision to rerun is arbitrary, and in law when they say it's arbitrary, it means that the decision is taken without due process.
It's like on your own whim. You have just decided on your own.
You just woke up one morning and decided that you are thirsty, so let me drink wine when there's water.
Got it.
So it is taken without recourse to due process. So has the commission always been taking decision without recourse to due process? Is this a process that, or a situation that we could have prevented? And the last election particularly had too many concerns.
Right.
Imagine the number of constituencies in which people protested. Tema West, Ibi Bright. Ibi Bright was declared winner. In fact, Ibi Bright was on this network. In a congratulatory interview.
She was wearing white.
White. When we called her to speak with her, she came here, white, very excited and had big plans for the constituency. Only to be told that, no, hold on, relax, be calming down.
Yeah.
That should not be. So, is there a systemic problem with the EC that we should be looking at beyond these concerns? Or once the system favors you, you take it as it is and applaud it? Is that the case? Is that what we are practicing? So it says it is a arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, and wrongful exercise of. I'm surprised. And
whimsical.
Each of these words used here has a meaning in law. And you see, when you look at the meanings of the words that have been stringed together here, it doesn't tell you a story of a sudden realization that we just realize that there's a problem with decision making at the Electoral Commission. We just realize that the Electoral Commission is being unreasonable. Or is it only in the case of Ablekuma North that the Electoral Commission is being unreasonable? When the case of SAL came up, in fact, at the time, I was correspondent from the Electoral Commission for my former employers. And this same issue in the run-up to the 2000 election was a question that journalists kept asking. What about SAL? What's the plan for SAL? What are we doing? How long will it take the SAL people to also vote? And all of these. And the tapes are there. Luckily for us, the tapes are there. They're on social media. They used to have this Let the Public Know series that they used to run. And I was at each and every one of those encounters. And we would always ask the questions about SAL. So for 4 good years, or for 8 good years, if we expand it, we have not been able to deal with the arbitrariness of the Electoral Commission, the unreasonableness of the Electoral Commission, the capriciousness of the Electoral Commission. All those didn't exist. The Electoral Commission suddenly became unreasonable. Our institutions must work. And we shouldn't make it work or demand accountability only when it favors us.
Absolutely. Well, of course, this is one that we're following keenly. So do stick with us all throughout the day right here on 3FM 92.7. I'm very sure that as the day progresses, we'll be getting a lot more sound bites and also hearing from the NDC. So far, the NPP, they've made their position quite clearly. So do, again, stick with us. 8 after 9 as the time reads in the studio. And very shortly, we're going to be getting into a very important conversation as we gear up for Baby Fair 3.0. And this time around, we have something for everybody. So do be sure to meet us at the Marina Mall for the 3FM Baby Fair. It's our 3rd edition, and for this one, we're very, very excited. We're going to be having a lot of impactful conversations, and it starts here. So don't tune off. This is still the best breakfast show in all of the land. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
The best in the morning is on 92.